ND Admissions, Sarah here, and I'm going to be the first person to answer some of your questions from our Google form, Ask Admissions, where you guys have submitted some really great questions for all of our admissions team to answer. So I'm a rising senior, majoring in economics from the University of Notre Dame, and I'm excited to just dive right in. So our first question is, what do you look for in a good application or essay? So that is a very difficult question just because Notre Dame doesn't review on a checklist. You don't get admitted because you have a certain GPA and you have a certain club and you speak a certain language. It's nothing like that. It's based on a holistic review. Notre Dame admits students based off of their entire application. So there is no such thing as a good application in a checklist type form, which I know is exactly what I wanted. I wanted that checklist when I was applying of I did that. All right, I'm in. But that doesn't really exist for Notre Dame. But I do have 3 tips that you guys can check out in the blogs that go into what I think would make the best application to increase your chances of getting in. And those 3 tips are basically have a good academic track record. Notre Dame is a top 20 institution and it's going to look for top 20 institution students. So you can increase your chances by having a great GPA, by taking AP classes, by going that extra mile to get some educational opportunities. Second would be, what do you do in your free time? What other things do you do besides school? What makes you, you? Notre Dame wants to know who you are as an individual and not what a bunch of numbers say about you. The third I would go into would be make sure that you are being wholeheartedly yourself. Notre Dame can tell through an essay that you're trying really hard because you really want to get into Notre Dame, but also this person doesn't seem so genuine. And you don't want that to come across. You want them to admit you based off of who you are, where you're from, and what your life is like, not just because you are a simple checklist. The second question is, have any of you had imposter syndrome as a student at ND? And if so, how did you handle it? So that's a really good question. I think everyone, for the most part, has had imposter syndrome at Notre Dame, or any college in that fact. So I have, mine mainly concerns race or being a female student at Notre Dame. I'm not the typical student. I'm a Black female at a predominantly white institution. So you do experience imposter syndrome because you're not a part of the majority in that way. However, I know many others who have experienced my personal imposter syndrome, but additionally, anybody who's a part of the LGBTQ community, anyone who's non-Catholic, who maybe isn't an athlete or isn't in the top part of academic applicants. So yeah, everyone experiences imposter syndrome to some degree, I think. The best way that I fought it was just to create kind of like a little coven of sorts of my genuine interests and friends and things that I like to do, my passions in life. That way I can always go back to that and be who I am and not just my imposter version of myself. And I think that's the greatest way to conquer anything from imposter syndrome would be make sure that you're staying true to who you are and making sure that that imposter syndrome isn't becoming who you are, because you were admitted, like I said previously, on who you as an individual are, and you don't want anything to sacrifice that or anything to interfere with your being. Okay, so the third and final question is, even though ND is test optional for the 2020-2021 application year, would you still recommend aspiring students to submit their scores? So Notre Dame has answered this for the most part on their website. However, I provided some information of just what I think, and that's pretty much if you think your tests are going to enhance your application, add it, period. It's that easy. So if you think, oh, it may deter, or that was a bad day, a bad 4-hour period, and that exam score does not reflect who you are as an applicant, then don't. It's kind of it's an option for you, and now it is an asset in your application, and you should use it as so. So don't feel as though you're obligated to add it. Notre Dame has said that they're not going to say, oh, applicant A added their test scores and therefore are going to be admitted. Applicant B didn't and therefore are going to be rejected. It's not going to be a comparison from applicant A to applicant B, but it will be a tool for your application. So use it wisely. If you choose not to add it, make sure that your application can stand alone. If you choose to add it, make sure that it's a tool for you so that you increase your chances for admissions, because that's what the application process is all about. It's about finding your best fit and your school that you want to go to, but it's also about making sure that you put forth your whole self. And Notre Dame understands that and reviews applications accordingly. So thank you so much for watching this. It's been actually a really awesome time to read some of your questions, answer some of them, and I'm learning a lot when I'm going through like the Notre Dame website to make sure that I'm getting you guys the best information possible. But keep sending questions, and I look forward to the next time. Thanks.